Okay, we are live, so let me share this in the Facebook group, and then we will get started. All right. Hello, everyone. Happy June 30th. How crazy is that? I mean, time is just flying and it's freaking me out, but that's okay. We are here. Today is the last day of the month, and so that means month-end money pulse check. So I am going to be walking you through how to complete your own month-end money pulse check, plus the results of my pulse check. And then since this is the end of the quarter, I'm going to walk you through or recap for you if you participated in the goal planning challenge, how to set goals for the quarter. So today I'm going to share a presentation with you instead of walking you through it. That way you can follow along. So let me share. And then if you are watching live, definitely say hi. But if you are on the replay, you can also say hi. And if you have questions along the way, don't hesitate to ask them. I will periodically peek into the comments to see who's on and if there are questions. But let's go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, last day of the month, I always do a month-end money review, or otherwise known as a pulse check. So it's really just a recap of how you did with your budget, spending, and goals for the month, and setting you up for an even more successful next month. So we're ending June and we want to start July on the right foot. So you definitely want to review your numbers along the way. So as an FYI, to complete your month-end money review or pulse check, you need 3 things. Those things are your budget, your spending, and your goals. So we are going to start with your budget. What was the budget you set at the beginning of June? And the whole purpose of reviewing this is to see if you actually stuck to the budget. So you want to look at the numbers that you set at the beginning of the month and then ask yourself the following questions. What happened that was supposed to? So in any particular category, did everything go as planned? And if so, does that make for an easy July? Then you want to ask yourself, what unexpected expenses came up? So did anything come up that you weren't planning on that threw your budget for a loop? And do you need to account for that in July? And then the last question you want to ask is, what needs to be changed for July? So maybe it's not necessarily that anything unexpected is planned to come up, but what if somebody has a birthday? What if you're doing something for 4th of July? Think of those things ahead of time so that you can create the best budget possible for July. Obviously, things come up, but the better you can plan, the better off you'll be with your money. So that's where we start with the budget. The next thing you want to look at is your spending. And you guys know I've said this plenty of times. I say it every single month on these month-end money pulse checks, but you need to be tracking your spending. If you are not tracking your spending, you don't really know if you're following the budget, okay? So it's one thing to create a budget, but you actually got to make sure you're following it. And the only way to do that is to keep tabs on your spending. So for the sake of this training, I am going to assume that you've been tracking your spending, or you have no problem going back through your spending for June. And then I want you to ask yourself these questions. Ask, what areas did I over or underspend in, and why? Did you overspend on food? Do you need to give yourself more for July for food? Did you underspend in transportation? And does that mean that frees up money for another category in July? So really think about why you were over or under in any particular category and try to figure out if you need to do anything different for July. Ask yourself what areas may be higher in July. So we kind of talked about this when planning the budget piece. So, you know, if you have birthdays, events, anything like that, you want to make sure that you are including that in the numbers that you set for July. And then lastly, ask yourself, what can I do differently to stay in budget? So maybe you don't need an iced coffee from Starbucks every single day of the week. And I'm telling that to myself. You know, maybe you only get a coffee once or twice a week. You know, what can you do differently to stick to your budget, but also make sure that you are being as responsible as you can with your finances? And then lastly, the third element to complete your month-end money review or pulse check, you need to know your goals. So what goals were you working on in June, or what goals have you been working on since the beginning of the year? Think about those goals and then ask yourself the following questions. Did I make the appropriate progress this month? So for example, if you were supposed to save $500, but you only saved $250, and you have a specific deadline to reach that goal, well, that means you probably did not make the appropriate progress. So what do you need to do to make up for that lost time? And that goes into the next question, which is, am I on track to reach my goals? So is there wiggle room with your time frame? Can you give yourself a little bit more time, especially if you've fallen behind on contributing to whatever that goal is? And then lastly, what needs to change to help me reach my goals? So maybe you are focusing on too many things at once and you need to pick, you know, 1 or 2 solid goals to focus on instead of 4 or 5. Or, you know, maybe your goal just really isn't realistic for your situation. You want to find a new job, but you don't have time to look. You know, just think about what needs to change to help you reach whatever goal you truly do want to achieve. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That is how you complete your month-end money review at the end of every single month. So let's get into my June results. So I'm going to start with the wins because I want to be positive. Then we'll go into my opportunities and goals. So a few wins. I saved an extra $300 this month, which was very exciting. And this includes today's $50 goal for the summer savings challenge. So 75 of this 300 went to my savings account for annual expenses. In case you guys are wondering, I always keep $1,000 in this account. It is for just annual expenses. Like for example, I pay my auto insurance in 6-month increments. So I know that payment is coming up. So now I'm just trying to like build on top of that 1,000 because that big chunk will come out in August. And then 225 of the 300 went to my vacation savings. So I actually have 2 big trips coming up. In 2 weeks, I'll be going to Aruba for 8 days. So excited, cannot wait. And then closer to the end of August, I'll be going to Thailand with a few girlfriends for one of my friend's 30th birthday. So definitely, I have been saving, but I want to continue to do so because those are big trips and I want to make sure I have enough. So that's where the extra savings went this month. Another win is that I was under budget in my gas and transportation category. So I didn't drive very much, so I only had to fill up once the entire month, which is so crazy, but I'm not complaining. I would have been even better, but I had to do Lyft and Uber yesterday. So I'm still under budget, but not as good as it could have been. All right, so moving into opportunities. I had some unplanned for pet expenses, and it was for their annual checkup and their shots. So I knew we had the appointment, but you know, it totally slipped my mind that I have to pay for them to have their shots and get their appointment. So that threw my budget off significantly. And then another opportunity is I overspent in food. Better than May, which is good because May was better than April. So I am improving, but still a lot of area of opportunity here for me to, you know, tighten it up. And then lastly, I needed to buy a suit for work and some swimsuits for the trips that are coming up. So I wanted to just go ahead and get that done. So I overspent in my shopping / entertainment recreation budget. But it's okay. I'll make up for lost time in July, especially with the summer savings challenge. I need and want to save as much as possible. So I'm happy to get these expenses just out of the way and I can focus on a brand new month. Okay, and so my goal progress. So I believe I shared this with you guys in the goal planning challenge, but one of my goals, big goals for this year was to increase my emergency fund. So now I have an upgraded emergency fund after I moved in my condo. I wanted to make sure I had 6 months worth of expenses with the condo. So I hit 10K in that account, which I'm really excited for. But you know, I'm not done. So I think 10K is a great milestone, but I still have a little bit of ways to go. So just gonna be working on that after these vacations. Goal saved extra for upcoming vacations, so I already walked through that. So overall, it was a pretty good month. Definitely room to improve, but hey, that's all of us, right? So since we are at the end of the quarter, I just want to remind you about my annual goal setting strategy. Just a quick recap, especially moving into the second half of the year. If you are falling behind on your goals or if you need to set some goals, definitely consider this strategy. So just a quick tidbit, focus on 1 to 3 main goals. So anything more than 3 and you're probably doing way too much, and it may make it harder for you to reach all of your goals if you're saving or working towards too many at one time. So focus on 1 to 3, just main primary goals for the rest of the year. Then break those 1 to 3 goals down into 90-day milestones. So kind of focus on one major milestone per quarter to help you achieve that main goal. So for example, if I want to get to 20K in my upgraded emergency fund by the end of the year, that means I have 2 quarters left. So, and I have 10K more to go. So that would be 5K a quarter. So my milestone would be 5,000 a quarter to save. And then break those 90-day milestones into daily, weekly, and you don't see it here, but monthly tasks. So if I need to save 5,000 in 3 months, well, I can break that number down into 3 monthly payments. So it doesn't seem as scary. It's much more doable. And, you know, if I don't save that monthly amount, do I make it up the following month? So just make it as easy for yourself as possible to reach whatever goal you are working towards. And then, you know, just make sure you track your daily, weekly, monthly tasks or milestones to ensure that you are actually working and reaching your goal. Now, I mentioned this was all in the goal planning challenge at the beginning of the year. So definitely, you know, if you're in the Facebook group, go back through those units. They're there. So if you need to freshen up on your goal setting process, definitely check those out. And then I want to share with you all a few of my second quarter milestones. I want to be more transparent about myself and, you know, what I'm doing over here. So first milestone is I had my best quarter in business ever, which I was so excited about because, you know, I'm really, really working to put myself in a position to do this 100% of the time. So seeing that I'm reaching new heights is definitely a sign that I'm doing the right thing. So I'm really happy about that. And then another goal I've had for this entire year for my business is to increase my audience growth online. So I'm talking like followers, engagement, things like that. And I think I had a very good first half of the year, and that's to the help of some wonderful ladies who are helping me out with that. So I'm really excited about, you know, how far we've come. Still got a lot more to go, but want to take a second to recognize the wins. Okay, so moving on to my second milestone. So goal was to save 12,000 for emergencies. So technically, I mentioned in my other slide that I have 10K in my upgraded emergency fund. What I also have, and before I get into that 10K is with Synchrony. So I'm getting a really good interest rate on that 10K. But what I also have is a close by emergency fund. So with my primary bank, I have 2,500 just sitting in an account in case I need it right here and now. So technically I have 12,500 saved for emergencies, but like I mentioned, my goal is to get to 20K. So that will be what I'm working on the second half of the year. And then lastly, a little bit more personal, not really money related. My goal for this year has been to lead a healthier lifestyle. So happy to say I'm down 6 pounds thanks to the keto diet, although it's not my favorite because I just love carbs. I love pasta, muffins, cakes, all that stuff, but not good for me. So been doing good, and I definitely need to tighten it up for this trip. So I'll be focusing on that for the next 2 weeks, definitely, and then looking to just lead a healthier lifestyle overall, and make sure I get more activity in gym and walks and all that good stuff in. So that pretty much wraps up our presentation for today. I would love to hear if you guys do your own month-end money pulse check, or if you have any questions, share some of the goals you're working on, and let's support each other. You guys are so great, and I just want to keep this up. So let me see if there are any comments. Hi, Desiree. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. All right, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. But if you guys do have anything, you can always drop a comment in the replay comment section, and I will be in to check. So hope you have a great rest of your day, and wrap up the month on a good note. And let's get ready to save some major cash in July and just tighten things up. So I will see you guys later. Have a good night. Bye, everyone.